Malachi! Hi! Here comes your sissy. Seems so distant. How you doing, honey?
Hi. Good. She is funny.
Your baby kitty is?
Yeah. Mom thought she had to go to the bathroom. She put her in the litter box. All she did was licking the litter.
Really? She was licking the litter, huh?
Yeah.
You want to give your sissy 5? He wants to give you something, or shake his hand or something.
They're so cute.
Like a storm. Hi, Malachi. Hi, honey. All right. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to make a regular video look kind of like a hand-drawn animation cartoon look to it. I showed you a real quick tutorial before, and that was real quick, but this one is going to be more in depth, and it's going to give better results. So first we're going to open our file, and I have an MTS file that I'm going to open with direct show input driver, which seems to give me the best results. It seems to be able to decode the frames faster than the FFD show one. And I'm just going to go ahead and load. I've already saved my settings, so I'm going to load them here and show you guys what I did. Bam. There we go. So I've got this one looking like this. So you can see the comparison, and I have made it so that when it outputs to 24 frames a second, and it gives it more of an animated feel. The original one is 30 frames a second interlaced, or 29.97. But okay, so let's look at my filters. What have I done here? I showed you guys how to use the blend layers, and how you have to name your outputs if that you want to use. Here's what I first did: is I de-interlaced my video because it was interlaced. And here's something that I did that, okay, here I'll just delete all this, and I want to show you guys how it all works. Wish you could just do a mass delete, but I guess not. Okay, first we're going to de-interlace. I just use the regular built-in de-interlacer. It seems to work fine for me. I think I've seen people debate about which de-interlacers are better. Whichever one you believe in, I guess, use. Okay, so first what we have to do is we have to make this look like a drawing. So at least this is how I do it. And what I find works really well for this, and there's got to be multiple ways of doing this, but when I use this PCVideo Image Processor, and I select it, and I go to Find Edges, and I click on OK, and I click on OK, and then it gives us like almost like an inverted look. So then I go to Video Filters, and I add the invert. So we invert it, and you guys have seen me do this before in my last one, but we're going to do something a little bit different here. We're also going to do one of the things I'll show you that can really give this a drawn look is if we add warp sharp to it. Now we can go ahead and add warp sharp down here, but I like the one from the ffvdub a lot. I already have it set up, and you can see the settings I have. You can go to preview. We can go here and see it makes things look more organic. Watch, I'll show you me turn it off. See, that's it with it off, and then That's it with it on. So it looks more organic, but still isn't what exactly I want. We're wanting it to look almost like pencil lines. And while it does look more organic, it still looks pretty thick, in my opinion anyhow. So here's what we're going to do. First of all, just to look at this, see, one of the cool things you can do is you can do resize. You can make it larger. You go to use the internal resize. I'm just going to say 200%. 200%. And we are going to bring this up here to right before ffvdub. So it resizes it to a much larger image, and then ffvdub does its warp sharp, and then we're going to resize it back down to, we're going to say 50%, which will bring it to the original size. And now watch what's going to happen. Watch, when I click on OK, watch what happens with these lines. They should get thinner. So they look thinner than if I had, watch, we'll get rid of the resize ones, and then watch. So the less detail, like let's see in this house over here, there's less detail if I put the resize back on. Watch over here. See, there's some more detail. And what else? One of the things you can also use, yeah, just look at this. Like, look at the eyes. There's a lot of detail there in comparison to not having the resize. Watch. I'm just going to go ahead and load the processing settings I had before, and we're going to take a look at those. Let's see, we've got resize here and resize here. Oh, I also add a Gaussian Blur, whatever it's called. So let's go ahead and do that as well. Let me get rid of all this stuff. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Load. Just regular deinterlaced filter. Okay, so we're going to do it this way. We're going to add the Gaussian Blur, whichever one. Doesn't really matter. We're just going to do a bit of a blur here. And then we're going to add the Find Edges filter, or Find Edge. Big difference, really. And then we have to add the invert filter. Okay, but what we're going to do now is we're going to resize before and after. So 200%, and we're going to make this up just right after deinterlaced. So then Gaussian Blur and Find Edge and Invert is all going to be added to the larger image, and then we're going to resize it back down. And let's take a look at what happens here. It looks clearer, looks cleaner. Well, what if we don't use Gaussian Blur? What if we just don't do that at all? And we don't do the resize? Do we really have to resize it? Well, let's look. Look at the ear details. Oh, I also forgot something. I forgot to do warp sharp. So we're going to do that too. Okay, see, warp sharp I think is really one of the huge kickers for this thing. It really makes the things look organic. And now we're going to add, or put Gaussian Blur back. Let's see what it looks like without resizing. Makes it look cleaner. That makes it look a lot cleaner when we add the Gauss blur to it. Like if I take off the Gauss blur, you'll notice there'll be a lot more just like noise and artifacting. It's too much stuff on the contours. You want some, but not too much. So then, okay, looks cleaner. Now let's go ahead and add the resize. Let's see if it really makes a difference. Look at the ear. Yeah, it definitely looks different. And here's something you can do. Check this out. We can do levels. We can do levels, and they are going to make a big difference. Watch this. Just the levels to get it where, that's obviously crazy, but you can mess with it until it's just something that you like. Remember, we're going to overlay color with this, so you want it to have some kind of a drawn look. This is all up to your personal taste. I guess I wouldn't mess with that one down there. I prefer to keep this checked, operate in Luma instead of RGB. Looks better. So again, however you want to do it, it's not an exact science. It's really all your personal preference. Another thing too is you'll notice that based on the lighting, this works better in certain scenes than in others. And there is a way of animating this, so you can change it. You can have it automatically change based on, well, not automatically change, but you can set keyframes with the master blend filter. And VirtualDub is pretty amazing, actually. There is really so many ways of manipulating these images. Let's see how this looks afterwards. There we go. There are so many ways. This is definitely not a science. It is an art form. You can come over here to Gaussian Blur, and if you go here, currently it's set to 1 pixel at 25 right here. You can change it. I mean, and you can watch in real time how it affects the image. What else can you do? Yeah, you could also mess with warp sharp and see how that affects it. I'm not going to do that right now. But once the first thing you have to do is get a good sketch look. You have to get a good drawn look, and you can always go back and edit the parameters to change how it looks. So, but it's easy to have that be the first thing that you do. And here I am. You can see in the original image my face is in a shadow, so it's hard to tell. It's hard to see a lot of detail in it. And one of the things I definitely do with these videos is I change the frame rate to 24 FPS. And you'll notice that in the video I did with the mask, where you can see part of it as the original image and then part of it as the cartooned image, you'll notice that the cartooned image, the motion is not as smooth. And you can make it smooth, but I make it that way on purpose, so it has more of cartoon feel when you're watching it. Okay, so now what we can do is add color to this. And what we have to first do is we're going to right click on the deinterlace. Since I'm using interlaced source, I had to deinterlace it. You don't have to do this if you're using progressive video. So I'll name this to deinterlace. And now we finish this whole here, this to here, from this all the way down is our filter path of the drawn to make it look drawn. So I'm going to name it drawn. That's that. So now what I want to do is make it look like somebody painted it. And the only way I know how to do this, there could be many other ways to do this, is to use Posterize. But I'm going to, before I change the settings, I'm going to add the input of deinterlace, because what that means is it's by default what VirtualDub will do is it'll just take the last filter and that will be the input for the next filter. But what I'm saying is by adding, when I did add input and I selected deinterlace, is it's saying don't count these filters, just start from this one and then that's the input. So now I can click here and see the preview, and you can do 7, you can do less. You don't want to do a lot because you want it to look, the color to look painted. So we can go here. What I like to also do is add blur to it. So I don't know if either of these are better, which one, the Anton or the Ferrari, but I'll just do this one right here. So you definitely want it to, let's see, look blurred. Oops. And let's just use that for now, and we'll call this, we'll name the output color. And then we're going to do the filter, the blend filter, or what is it? Blend layers. And then we're just going to add these inputs. So we're going to add the drawn one. So that'll take that picture, and then we're going to add the colored. And now we can double click on this. Say show preview. And it goes between the two. There's a lot of things you can do. If you go like this, it kind of looks like an easy sketch or something like that. There's not, the colors aren't very defined. But, again, this is very, very artistic. It's all up to the person who's doing it, what they feel like making. There is no exact science to this. I mean, this looks kind of neat. I've never seen this type of look before. Let's see. I don't know why I'm so fascinated with making things look like they're animated. I've messed around with this for a long time, many years, and then I stopped for a while. But I don't know why. Alright, so that's, let's see. Trying to get, okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't, like I mentioned in the last video, I don't understand all these terminologies, multiply and dodge and whatnot. I'm sure there's plenty of people that do, but so again, you can play with these. It's a lot of fun. This one I think kind of puts the two just together normally. At least that's how it looks to me. I don't know if that's really what linear burn does, but let's see. another thing we can do, I'll show you guys to make, watch, the colors do look blurry because, you know, yeah, they're blurred. I blurred them. But, you know what? Guess what? Let's try this. Guess what we can do? We can add warp sharp. Now, I think the problem with using the ffvdub stuff is that you can't have two different versions with two different settings, because if I change this here, it's going to change it globally for this. So I'm just going to still use this version of it, or this setting, but I'll use it right here. No, I'll use it. So since I'm going to use it after this, I'm going to change the output name, color 01, and then I'm going to change this output back to color, because that's what this is drawing off of. So let's see what it looks like. Should look sharper here. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. It's sharpened it up. Wow, that looks nice, I think. So we want it to have a look like it's been painted or drawn, not like it's been processed in a video editor. So and again, this is very non-scientific. You just mess around and come up with some cool things. You just have the basic ideas. Is you want to first get a filter path that makes everything look like it was hand drawn, and then one that makes it look painted, and then blend the two together, and then output it. And again, if you don't like what you've done, or you want to change something, the cool thing is you just go back up to filters, and you can just mess around. Like, watch, posterize. Let's check this out. Like, let's say I'm like, I'm not sure if that's too much color or not enough color. So I can go to posterize and change that, and it will show me in real time how it's going to affect the output. Let's see. Obviously that's too much. You don't want it to look natural. You want it to look painted. I think I had it at 5 before, but I've also gone to 7. So let's see, it's on 7. So you can tell I'm not sure which one I should do, but I think it still looks fine. 7 looks fine. 5 looks, maybe 5 looks more cartoonized. But anyhow, this is basically what you do. This is how you do it. And there are other filters I have used in the past to do this. Let's see, filter blender. Let's see, where is it? Filter blender. It works. Yeah, you create a, but you just create a path, first path, and you put this in there, and then you create a second path, and then you can blend it and you tell it the percentage. But you can also add a mask to it, which is cool. So that's not something I think you can't add a mask with this blend layers option. And then there's also blend, which is cool, and it allows a lot of different ways of blending the two. Very, very, very similar to blend layers, extremely similar. And actually it's probably easier, in my opinion, because you don't have to name stuff weird names. You can just insert things into the filter path, and it creates, you add this in blend as store, and then you create a path, and you add another one in as swap, and you create another path, and then you add this at the end to blend, and it blends them. So it's pretty cool. It's very cool. And then with Master Blender, or Master Blend right here, you can add filters here and animate the filters with keyframes. So let's see, like for example, levels. Like, you know, you could go over here and add levels to it, and then you can change levels on, you know, you can do it manually. It records the keyframes, and then it will be applied based on the keyframes you put in and the settings changing per keyframe. And so you could, if you had a scene where it was too dark, you can adjust the level so that it could be brighter, and you know, could outline the edges better. And then another scene that's very bright, you could tone down the levels, so you just get the optimal edges for this cartoon look. Or of course you can use that for anything else. So I have to change the frame rate. No, change it here. I'm not going to do 23.97. 24 will be fine. So all right.